Hello, welcome once again to the JLo Artist YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me on this artistic journey. And today we'll be working with colored pencils. So you'll need your number 2 or HB pencil, kneaded eraser, and some good quality colored pencils. So as always, thank you for being here and thank you for being willing to draw with me. I know this isn't as easy as it might sound, but it's a lot of fun, and hopefully you're going to learn a lot here. We're going to be drawing with the white charcoal to begin with, and then we're going to use the Crayola. If you've got other colors, you're welcome to use those. And starting with the white charcoal, we're going to get our structure, our form down. So when you're doing a face, and I chose this face because there's a definite shadow side and a definite light side. So we're going to do cool colors in the shadows, warm colors in the light. And I'm just going to use my, you could easily use a pencil here for this. Just draw lightly, because you can, you got to erase everything that we draw with the charcoal. Either gets erased, or charcoal actually can blend in with our colors, where graphite can't. You got to erase the graphite. So if you're using graphite, you just in the back of your mind know you got to get rid of it. So I'm going to just start out establishing where the top of her head goes, where her chin is going to go. Here's her shoulder. It's all covered up with hair. And go back in here. And I could easily move her over a little bit closer to this side if I wanted to. Good composition. Your subject matter touches 3 of the 4 sides. And then we're going to leave her a little bit of breathing space out here. Asymmetrical balance. And so I'm just throwing in some shapes. I look at the shape under her chin of that triangle and throw that in. Remember that the eyes are about right in the middle of the head. So as I'm looking through this, I can kind of go, well, about right smack dab in the middle of that shape, her eyes. So I can just say, well, there's going to be an eye there. There's an eyebrow. Because we're looking up a little bit, there's not as much distance between the eyes and the nose as usual. So you just come down a little bit. You can even just put a little spot of light and say that's where the tip of the nose is going to go. And then you could even just do a little shape and say that's where the shadow underneath the nose is. Just make sure that your eyes, your nose, and your mouth are all in the same direction. If not, then the face looks kind of like it's melting on one side, or she got hit with the Mack truck or something. And that's easy to do. So, it's easy to make it look wrong. Remember to use the side of your pencil too. That way you're not grinding that charcoal down into the fibers of the paper. The mouth, I'm just going to establish where the mouth goes with this little shape. There's the top of the lip, and her mouth is slightly open, but at the moment that's not that big of a deal. A little shadow underneath. So this is just a guide. It's a thing that I can reference my composition with, or my proportions. Need more hair in the back. I always give myself a little bit of space because I'm always drawing smaller than I really should, and so now I can expand it out a little bit. And these little lines that I'm doing here, they're just telling me what direction the hair is flowing. She's got a lot of hair. She's like Cousin It with a face. You may not know what I'm talking about, Cousin It, unless you know the Addams Family. You know the Addams Family? Oh, okay. Once you establish where everything goes, we're going to start using a color, and it's up to you what color. You can use black if you want to, although I find black is a little harsh sometimes. So totally up to you what you want. Blue or purple on this. This is green. You could use a dark green if you wanted to, a little darker. But I like the cool colors like purple or blue. So I'm going to go ahead and use this blue. I like the indigo blue as well. So purple or blue, either one, it's going to work. So I'm going to then start sketching this in as if I'm kind of using ink. So there, I'm going to leave things out. I'm going to start with the darkest areas. You can go top to bottom, left to right, that kind of a thing. I always get asked that too. Where do you start? I don't know. Wherever you start, that's where you start. And so I'm just going to use this blue and just kind of start shading some things in. If you don't like that white showing through a little bit, you can get rid of it with your kneaded eraser. It's totally up to you. I don't mind it. There's the eyebrow. You can use the side of your pencil, unlike ink where you have to use the tip. You can use the side of your pencil. So drawing this way is very much like drawing with graphite. Do the same thing, but we're still thinking ink, because there's things that you can leave out, things that you can add. Now, unlike drawing with ink, the light edges we have to put in. So we're going to take our white pencil and we're going to have to add some of that in. I do not see a shine in her eye. There's got to be one there, so I'm going to leave it out, but I may not have it as dark. So I'm going to zoom into this so you can see what I'm doing. Because our board or our paper is grounded, it's toned, there's already a value established here. So I can use my blue to get some of the darker areas. Just like when we did it on gray, you know, that value is already there. Now we have a color to deal with. My nose wasn't in the right place. I had to move it over a little bit. I'm just drawing in the shapes of the darkness that I see using my blue, kind of like graphite. When you're drawing eyes, try to make sure that those tear ducts are opposite each other. So that's what I like to do. I'll just kind of make sure it's in the right direction. It's in the right angle. I'll mark it. Put a little dot there or something. Say that's where that tear duct goes. Again, if you don't see the edge, just leave it out. When in doubt, leave it out. I definitely don't see a highlight in there, but I'm still going to put something in there. We don't have to darken it in at all, but got to put something in there because it should be there. Just because the camera doesn't pick up on it doesn't mean it's not there. Some of that eye gets really dark too. I'm not worried about eyelashes yet. That will come. It's like one of the last things you do with your eyes whenever you do eyes. Lips are another thing that people will draw a line around the lip. And even though it is darker, there's no edge there. So don't draw a line, just shade it in. Corners of the mouth are usually a little darker. You can always establish those just slightly. She's got little teeth showing. So you could put just a little bit of darkness in there just to show that tooth. But technically those teeth are very dark. You can actually go back into that and shade through it because they're quite dark. You got to push them back into the mouth there. I like that charcoal because if you don't like it, you can just rub it. You can rub it with your finger. You can take your kneaded eraser, whatever you want. That'll help get rid of it. But a lot of this we can establish with the light. Before, when you're drawing things on white, you have to establish everything with gray or dark because the white's already there. And sometimes you can just leave it out. But here, we need to establish things with white as well. So like there's a little bit of light across her chin, on the tip of her lip right there, on the tip of her nose, across her eyes. All those little highlights are going to help establish our edges. I'm going to even use that blue in that shadow area just to establish where that shadow's going. That charcoal's getting in my way. Sometimes I don't mind it, other times it gets in my way. again, it's kind of up to you. Now, green, is green a warm color or a cool color? What do you think? When you look at green, does it feel cool or does it feel warm? So yellow-green is one of the neutrals. It's got a little bit of warm and a little bit of cool, but green by itself is very cool. So we may want to keep some of that green in her cheek, like some of this reflected light that's in there. We may want to just say, hey, we want that very green. Remember, you still got to keep with the values, though. Remember, hair is so easy to do. You just find your shadows and just do little flicky lines, those feathered edges. So all I'm going to do is just find the dark edges and just going to do a little flick with my pencil in the direction that the hair goes. So you can go down or you could go up or both, whatever you feel. I always kind of go towards the softest part of the hair. So usually your edges are the softest, so I go from the inside out. But sometimes other areas that aren't. Sometimes you want to add a little pressure to it to get it a little darker, and other times you don't. I don't think about it anymore. It just happens for me. But when you're first starting out, you do have to kind of think about that a little bit. Just pick out your shadows. That hair does not need to be contiguous. Doesn't have to continue on down through. You're just doing shadows. Everybody understands it's hair. Once you get the other lights and darks in there, it'll look fine. So just to establish, now I've got my shadows, now I need my light. So I'm just going to go through with my white pencil. I'm just going to hit some of those little light, highlighty areas. I definitely don't want white because white kind of looks chalky. I'll probably do a little yellow on top of that or something. Some of the highlights, though, you may want to keep them. So there's my white. Now, any place that you think is kind of light, and as you do, you're going to find those midtones kind of coming through. But you're already done on our paper. So see how we established now our lip with the white? All of a sudden that looks like we put some value to it, but we didn't. It's just the paper showing through. Did we talk about the white paint? Okay, good. So that gouache or that tempera, you can always come back when you're done and hit some of these little light spots with that tempera or with a Prismacolor. Once you get the face done, the hair's going to go really fast, because we've already established where the darks are, and now we're going to hit a few little light areas, and we'll have it. Now you hit the highlights in the hair. This is probably going to be the easiest hair you've ever drawn. I mean, she's got a ton of hair, but look how easy this is by just doing the darks and the lights. Everything kind of takes care of itself. That's what I love about grounded board, about this toned board, is that value, and it's kind of done for you. I think I'm going to try this lemony yellow. It's just called yellow, but I'm going to try a little bit of that over the cheek, over the area. I'm just to warm it up. And even if you go over the green, even though the green is there, it becomes that yellow green, which is your neutral. And then we'll do a little bit of orange and red in there, and we'll have a nice tone. Without it, it's not really a flesh tone. Remember, what's important here is value. So I'm just going to add that little bit of yellow here and there. And I guess I could have done the red first. But I wanted it to be warm. Anytime you want to warm up your colors, that little bit of yellow is going to do it for you. So any place that I feel like it's kind of going to go warm, I can go over the top of the white that I did with this yellow. And it just warms it up, just gives it a nice warmy tone. And again, you don't have to go everywhere, just wherever you feel like it needs a little bit of warmth. You can do that in the hair. Be a little spontaneous with it as well. If you go over some of that blue, it's just going to go green. It's just going to go darker green. You already have green, so you're not going to get too big of a surprise with color. Now, red orange. You got any red orange? In your Prismacolor set, it's called Poppy Red. Love that Poppy Red. So this is red-orange. There's a couple of places that you just know you're going to have red. The nose is one of them, because there's a lot of blood vessels that are very close to the surface. And so I can go over some of that area in the nose with this orangey red. The red is very warm. And so any of the shadowy areas or the darker areas in my face, I can use that orangey red. Especially places like the nose, in the cheek area. You do a little bit of that in the cheek area. Now, what's going to happen if you go over the green with the red? Red and green are what kind of colors? Very good. Complementary colors. And so, next to each other, they look really good. The red looks red and the green looks green. But when you mix them, they kind of cancel each other out. So I'm kind of anticipating that happening. The orangey red is going to get slightly canceled out. And it becomes kind of a brownish color. But because it's on top, it still has that red feel to it, that red tone. Some of this is over the top of that yellow, which is going to keep it nice and orange. So again, it's good to understand color and what's going to happen, just so you can anticipate. Sometimes something happens and you're like, ooh, I didn't see that coming. That's normal. And those hopefully are going to be those happy accidents that Bob Ross talks about. But you can have accidents that are planned. And with color, sometimes you plan those accidents. You may not know what you're getting, but you kind of have an idea. In the blue, I might get kind of a little purple in there. That's okay. I always go very light, by the way. I get asked all the time, how do you make it smooth? Well, you start out light, and you just layer in, until finally, you're really pressing fairly hard, and that mixes all those colors underneath. And it'll smooth them out. A little color into those lips. Like I say, you can go over the top of the blue that you got in there. It'll be just fine. So see how warm that got over there? That's just so nice. It's probably not as warm as you could get if you had a different toned board. If it's really in the shadow, I wouldn't put any of this orangey red in there. It's just going to end up being kind of a transition between the warm and the cool. As soon as you get into the shadows, you want to kind of leave it out. Or put a little on the edge. Like this little shadow over here. It's blue. I'm going to put a little bit of that orangey red. The orange in it will counteract the blue. The red in it will become kind of purpley. So it's one of those things you're just like, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you kind of know what's going to go on with it. At this point, I start looking at things going, oh, you know what? This is just about where I want it. The colors are working out well. The other thing I need is contrast. I need it to kind of pop a little bit. And in order to get that contrast, you need some black in there. So just here and there, you want some black. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add purple to it. Over the top of that black, I need those areas to pop. I need some of that purple in this section over here where the shadow is. And that hair, you know, you can get a kaleidoscope of hair, and as long as the values are correct, it's going to look okay. Nobody's going to look at it and go, wow, she's got like multicolored hair. I mean, if you analyze it, yeah, that's what you're thinking, but just to look at it, I don't think people really think about colors. I don't know. How many of you look at a sunset and wonder how you're going to paint that? So here's my black. I'm just going to go over any of the really dark areas. I might even do her eyelashes now with this black. And see how that kind of makes her eye pop? I mean, just that little bit just makes it pop. So now if you go back over all those areas, anything that's dark, any place that you see is dark. But it's got to be pretty darn dark. I mean, like this shadow that's down here is not that dark. The eyes are dark, but they're not perfectly dark. And remember that as we do purple on top of that, that'll darken those in a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on in the eyelashes over on this other side because it's too dark. But you know what the eyelashes on the other side look like, so just do the same thing. Then as we darken it in, they might get lost a little bit, but that's okay. Same thing with the eyebrow. I have no idea what's going on in the eyebrow. But there's hair that's coming back into it too, so maybe that's what we're seeing is that little bit of hair. You see how that made your face pop? I mean, not your face, her face, your drawing's face. In the hair, you already know where the shadows are. So that black is just going to add a little bit of contrast to some of those areas. You don't need a ton, just a little bit here and there. I need that reflected light to be a little cooler. So I'm going to add a little bit of magenta to it. It's kind of a reddish, redishy, purpley, pinky kind of color. I suppose you could add whatever you wanted to it, but that magenta, I think I'm going to like that there. It's your neutral as well. So any place I see reflected light, maybe I'll add that magenta in there. And you can do that in the hair as well. As you're doing your colors, don't be afraid to just come into that hair. And again, go from the shadows, find your shadows, and go out. The magenta is going to go over the yellow and turn more red. It's going to go over the blue and turn more purple. So again, you're going to get this kaleidoscope of colors. They're just awesome. Now to get my values right, I'm going to hit this with purple. So any of those dark values, I'm going to go purple. Once I'm done with the face, I'll move up into the hair. Even her eyes are going to go purple. Now, over the top of the black. And it just darkens them up and almost gives them kind of a brown look to them. And even the white part of the eye, that where there's shadow, going to get purple. Purple is one of the last things you want to do to it, to just get that shading. I can go over any of the shadows with this purple. So here we're creating form with the use of color. If there's a little red, you can go over the red with the purple, the magenta, the blue, even the green. Looks fine with purple. I love purple for that very reason. Just layer in as much color as you feel like you need. There are times when I think, oh, I got rid of that red because I put the purple over it or whatever, and that's okay too. Whatever you need. You almost feel it. It's like, I feel like I need to do that. Color is so emotionally charged that even as an artist, you feel your artwork with the colors. I'm trying to get that core shadow back in there with this purple. If you have indigo blue, some of those little dark areas you could go back over with that indigo blue, make them even nicer. Cool thing is, the more color you layer into it, the more sketchy you can be, and you just kind of throw in the color. Because the values are what's important here. The hair is going to take us another hour to do. But you can kind of see how it's done. And you spend as much time as you need to on it. Make sure that all that black gets covered, though, with the purple or with another color. Black by itself is just not the greatest of colors to use. Makes it look like a hole. Looks kind of muddy. But the colors on top really help it to pop, make it look better. I suppose, I don't know, I'm going to try this white charcoal. Does that help it? Nah, I'd rather use Prisma. So if you have access to a Prismacolor, a white one, or a cream even, cream's probably the better choice. You can go back over some of those really light areas and really make that pop. Because contrast is good. See how that white just made it pop, makes it come forward. Light has a tendency to come forward, dark has a tendency to go back. Like I say, if you got some indigo blue, that would help in there. This is just blue. Hopefully this helps you, though, to get the idea of that warm and cool side. Keeping those values correct. Hopefully you guys understand too, we are by no means finished with this, but hopefully you understand the process. The whole idea is to get you familiar with it. This is just practice, so you can do something on your own. And you just keep experimenting with it until you find your own voice. Boy, during the last layers, I'm really pressing hard. What it does is it takes all those colors that are underneath and blends them out, makes it very smooth. So if you like that sort of thing, which I do, but you can make some really nice stuff and have it be kind of loose, grainy, not as smooth. Not as opaque. Got about a minute left is all. Make sure you sign this. A good place to sign it would be either right over here or on her shoulder or, you know, anywhere down in there. Sign it right there. Hopefully this has been fun for you. It's made your life a little bit nicer, because art makes life better. It does. Have a lovely day.